himself. Oh my God, this is why Jason's not smart enough for this. Hey guys, it's your girl Asia, Geek XX Chic, and we're back with another reaction to Titans. We are now on to episode 5, which is called Lazarus. So the last episode, we got a little more insight into what's going on with Corey and her sister Blackfire. We now know that she's here on Earth for real, and that she was being kept against her will by the US government. But Corey decided to break her out, and we're still not sure whether or not that's going to be a good idea, especially since she didn't really talk to Team Titan about it. And also, Dick continued his game of cat and mouse with Jason by setting a trap for him by taking Scarecrow to the place where Bruce trained them and luring him there. He was right about Jason going there, but unfortunately he underestimated just how different Jason has become since becoming the Red Hood. So this might be the story of how Jason managed to come back from the dead, but we're not going to know until we get into the episode, so we're going to do that. But before we do, you know the drill. If you've been here before and you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button. That way you can be notified when I do more reactions to this show, as well as many others that are very similar. So hopefully you will join the fam. We would love to have you. All right, that out of the way, guys, let's get into the episode right about now.
It's hard to keep you guys straight. So many of you are birds. Dick knows everything now. Okay? We're fucked.
You just wasted a joint, you bastard.
I need to know the fucking plan. The plan?
Is that you're not smart enough to know the plan?
Why don't we get you a little ahead of your happy juice and then we'll be on our way.
Ah, we go. The drugs. That's how he's controlling him. Oh God, it's so sad to be controlled by something like that. I mean, maybe the drug is affecting him more as far as being a complete jackass, but I don't know. Jason was kind of a dick beforehand, so.
You still have time, Jesus.
Still have time. Is this because Donna's gonna go to the Lazarus pit too?
I'm fine.
Yeah, you look it.
You were screaming.
Yeah. You're shaking, twitching in bed.
We're fine. I've done my time with shrimps. Not gonna happen.
I mean, if he's not open, it's not gonna work anyway.
If Leslie agrees with you, you can go back to being Robin. But until I hear the word from her, you're shut down.
Daddy said nope. So here's the thing. I do think that mental health is super important, and I like that Bruce tried to prioritize it. You can't really force mental health on people who are not open to it. It actually has the reverse effect. Also, I feel like he should have been seeing a therapist like during his whole Robin training, probably not once he starts to break down. It's kind of late by then.
The Joker's got a dude on the street taking in strays. Diego's poor and brown, so, you know, the cops don't give a shit.
That was woke. We appreciate it.
Nothing happened. I was bored, so I left.
Just about died, no biggie. PTSD, mild.
Let's go introduce ourselves.
Jay.
No!
That's all. Come on.
He really just asked to get his ass kicked all the time, didn't he? He's like, it's a good day. I don't hurt anywhere. I feel good. I should go get my ass kicked.
Give us a second. Keep the drink.
And the herpes he probably gave you from drinking out of the same bottle. Ew!
You haven't done enough time to look at me like that.
Right? Like on the planet. Someone's out of shape. But you know what? This is Jason. It was a sunny day. He could have minded his own business, but instead... No, don't Jason him. I would have slapped him on top of it. But I shouldn't say that. The last time I said I wanted Jason to get his ass kicked, he died.
You get people to open up about their shit and you give them pills.
Sadly, he's got a few points there.
You knew the Scarecrow?
Oh.
He was actually a brilliant graduate student.
She says with admiration. Hi, Harley Quinn.
If you're that fucked up, how are you a therapist?
I'm honest.
Yeah, it's called vulnerability, asshole.
Might even tell you a story about Superman.
He's mildly intrigued. God, I could not deal with him. I just would smack the shit out of him my own self. This is why I can't deal with problem children. I can't do it. I wish I knew what all these references were for. Really should read a comic once in a while from DC. Someone tell me what all those meant, please.
Thoughts about Leslie?
You shouldn't creep up on people.
It's my house!
Comes in handy.
And my cave!
You're looking at my Scarecrow keepsakes.
That's weird. He really shouldn't keep keepsakes. He really was a psychopath. Bruce needs help.
I can't be like this.
This?
What's this? Yeah.
I'm tired of being afraid.
Yeah, that's
He's around
exhausting.
all the time. Jason Todd lived on the streets and he had dumpsters. My
Damn.
life isn't shit without Robin.
Wow.
Is Molly?
It's the realest thing we've heard him say.
Robin, on the other hand, is a construct
Mm-hmm.
made by a crime-fighting vigilante
Who's
who has a
psycho?
borderline personality disorder.
Thank you. Woo! That tea was scalding. All of Batman's tea.
What do you want?
To feel better.
That was real. I like this, Jason.
Next week, same time?
Yeah, sure.
Would you look at that? When you actually are honest, therapy's not that horrible, huh?
Thank you.
Interesting. This actor is really good at his body language changes. He, just in that walk we saw him do from there, you could see he felt lighter in that moment. Usually Jason kind of walks around with a bit of bravado.
It made sense, left my life at one moment.
We don't
So
have
let me
to
finish.
He's like, this is my monologue.
I've lost too many people to Gotham. I won't lose you.
Okay, crazy. Can we hug and end this weird moment?
I don't want you to be Robin.
Ugh. You should have maybe decided that when you first took him in, Bruce.
I didn't just
I
you.
did exactly what you asked me to do.
He did.
I went to Leslie.
And that should have been his decision, not yours, Bruce.
You don't need to wear a costume to be my son.
Again, you should have told me that when you adopted me.
I've learned from my mistakes.
Oh, so I'm a fucking mistake?
Oh, God. This is going sideways.
What's so bad about me?
Let me not.
Please don't give up on me, Bruce.
This is messy.
Gotta go to London tonight.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna destroy everything that I've taught you over the last few years. Bye. Oh, Bruce.
Jason.
Bruce. You suck at human relationships, sir. So bad.
You got fired? What? It's strange. No.
Then you're useless to me.
Run along.
Oh, God. Does this mean that I'm crazy too? Because me and Scarecrow think the same?
Collector's item. From a very specific collector.
You suck for telling him everything, Jason. But I get it.
Accessible to people closest to him.
Mm-hmm. Look at him. He's like, oh, shit. He's smarter than you, Jason.
I want to know everything about Batman. Everything about everything. The same way Batman brought me in on his. There's a perverse poetry, and it makes my heart sing.
Yeah.
You down?
Yeah, because I'm mad.
Get a pencil.
That's old school. I have a phone.
Shower runs cold.
Okay, so this was Jason's lab. Okay. Wow, we're actually using poppy music while someone creates an illegal drug. That's great. And this guy's texting it on himself. Oh my God, this is why Jason's not smart enough for this. Yeah, that's not unafraid. You were just stoned. You know, people on like mushrooms will do really crazy shit too. That doesn't mean that they're fearless. And here we started the season.
The Joker.
That's not exactly what happened. I think the reverse was true in this case, wasn't it, sir? Is this the Lazarus pit? Just hanging out? The Lazarus pit rejects this. That would actually be funny.
Where am I? Just breathe. Just breathe. Stay calm. You're safe, okay?
I'm naked with a strange man in a prison outfit. I'm not calm. Oh, wow. Is that dancing? No, make it stop. That's the crime. That's what he should be in jail for forever.
I'll make it better than better.
So weak. Look at his face. Wow. But really, where is this place? He's supposed to be in jail. How did he get here? I've got so many questions.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
Okay? Who are you?
Red Hood. I'll just tell them myself.
Fair enough. Oh, no, please leave her alone. Please, leave her out of your twisted little... Maybe she's into it.
Don't be scared.
I am! How the hell did you get in my house?
Not really. Not anymore. Look, I know this is fucking weird, so I won't be here.
God.
I just wanted to tell you that everything's gonna be alright.
It's not.
You should get a better lock.
Better. Okay. Ma'am, pack your stuff and get out, because this man is cray-cray. You say one wrong word or something about him being scared, he would have shot you in the face. Whew. Wow, y'all. That was episode 5 of Titans Lazarus. And wow, we got the full story now. We know exactly how we came to what happened in episode 1. We have a better understanding of how Jason ended up in this place. And yes, I mean, I think most of us already knew that the Lazarus pit would have had to have been used here. I wasn't sure if he actually died at all, to be honest, because like I said, didn't see a body. I don't know what Bruce was looking at. How did Bruce know he was dead? But I'm assuming that there had to be something real, because again, Bruce wouldn't have just gone off on the Joker if he thought that Jason was actually still alive. But we now know exactly how we got to where we did. We now know kind of what led up to Jason being so susceptible to Scarecrow, because that's the part I really was like, okay, good for Dick for making the connection, but how the heck did Jason even get in contact with this man? It makes no sense considering that Dick and Bruce were the ones who put him in Gotham, or sorry, in Arkham. So this gave a little bit more context as to what was going on. And actually what I appreciated the most out of this episode, honestly, was getting more insight into why Jason is the way he is and kind of peeling back the layers of the impulsivity and the anger and the sarcasm and the walls within the walls within the walls. I mean, yes, I knew that there was more to it than that. Even last season when Jason was getting under my skin, no one's born that much of a jerk, okay? It definitely is something that happens for a reason, and we finally got to see more of where that stems from and see who the real and far more likable Jason would be if he could let go of all of that anger and angst and pain that he has gone through. But we didn't know what it was. Like, we really only heard that we know that Bruce Wayne picked up orphans, right? All of the Robins were typically people who had no one else in this world, people who were fairly disadvantaged, people who would really have a lot of reason to invest in what Bruce was offering them, but also what Bruce probably didn't realize directly, but subconsciously realized, was that these kids would be very much in need of and desiring a father figure or some form of parental figure or family, and become like very dependent on Bruce for that. So unsurprisingly, Jason was the same, but we didn't really know a lot of his story. But we found out about that when Bruce tried to, well, forced him into therapy, which I have my theories on that. Like, it wasn't a bad thing in the end, because as we saw, Jason actually was starting to make progress once his walls came down. But I don't like the idea of forcing people into therapy, because the whole point of getting help is that you are mentally open and you're emotionally open to getting help and realizing that you need it. And if you kind of try to force people into that, it usually doesn't go well, because they're still going to be resistant. There's still going to be a lack of trust there. There's always going to be a bit of resistance to the process. And while Jason did start to make some real progress with that psychologist, we see that the way he quickly turned when Bruce was the one who ended up, you know, pulling the whole Robin thing away, the first thing he thought was, it was her. She talked to you. She told you I was broken, right? And that distrust, I mean, it's not just her. I mean, I know that, or sorry, it's not just the fact that Bruce forced him in the first place. Obviously, he's already had massive trust issues. But again, I feel like if he recognized that he needed the help and that this was something that was good for him, he would have at least tried to ask her or challenge the idea that she had broken his trust after she had told him multiple times that she wouldn't. But he just jumped to that conclusion that she must have betrayed him and that Bruce must have betrayed him as well by saying that he was not going to talk to her but did. And then that's kind of what set this spiral even worse. But anyway, all that aside, that's kind of my rant on that. But the fact that we got the therapy and that really finally got us to the heart of who Jason actually is and why he's this way. We discovered that unfortunately he had a mother who was an addict and was not able to get her act together enough to take care of him. And that got him into a father who apparently was never around. That meant he went into the system. And as we know, unfortunately, foster care system is often less positive than it is negative. And in his case, he did not always have a good time. And many kids who are products of the system, unfortunately, end up feeling very abandoned, very abused, very mistreated. And a lot of them experience all kinds of horrible things from people who are not genuinely there to take care of them. So it's sad. Like, it definitely makes you understand why he has trust issues and why it's so hard for him to let people in, but also why he so desperately wants to be accepted and loved, despite the fact that he resists it so adamantly. And then we saw how once he finally let those walls down and expressed that while he very much valued and loved that Bruce took him in and taught him to kind of be someone that can do all these really cool things, he was still very much struggling with whether or not he actually wanted to be Robin. And he said something that was very poignant in that session with her, which was the crux of it all, and somewhat similar to what Dick went through, which is where he said in his mind, like, because she said to him, like, are you scared of being Robin or are you scared of being Jason Todd? And his response of, Jason Todd lived on the street, Jason Todd was weak, Jason Todd was abandoned. Like, it's so sad, but Jason genuinely associates who he is with all of the tragedies that have happened to him. And it's so real and so visceral and so human for us to do that, to think that we are the sum of the things that have happened to us or the things that we've even done in the past. But the reality is that we create who we are. We decide what our name's going to mean. And even if we have been through a lot, yes, what we've gone through and what we do does affect us, and it does sometimes shape and mold the way that we do things and look at the world. It's not who we are. We choose who we are. We can always decide to open a new chapter in our life and do something different. And that's what Dick did, right? Dick came to that realization on his own that actually, I don't have to be the kid who lost his parents in the circus and was so desperate for some type of family that I desperately looked up to Bruce and let him turn me into this weapon of destruction. I don't think that's who I want to be anymore. So let me go and leave this and figure out what it is that I do really want to be and who I really want Dick Grayson to be. Dick kind of came to that conclusion on his own and made the moves towards becoming who he wants to be. Unfortunately for Jason, he didn't get there. And I do think that if he'd been able to continue with the therapy, but also more importantly, and we'll get to why, Bruce messed it up, but I think if he'd been able to go through that process, he would have gotten to that place as well, where I do think he wanted to be Robin. I do think he did enjoy being able to kind of unleash some of his negativity through the crime fighting, much like Batman did. But he just never got there. He still had way more to deal with. Because the thing is, I guess the difference also with Dick and Jason is that Dick didn't have, from what we know, a turbulent, horrible family life before he came to Bruce, right? He literally came to Bruce because his parents died in a horrible accident that was caused, which we found out later on was not an accident, right? But from what we know, he had a loving family up until that point. Like, they were unusual, but they were loving and they were good. And so he kind of went from that environment into Bruce's very cold, detached, slightly emotionally abusive environment. So it was a little bit different for him. He did have a foundation of good, whereas Jason has never had stability in his life. It has always been one fire to the next. He's been in survival mode his entire life. And unfortunately, when Bruce took him in, he never even got any kind of break from that, right? Because he got thrown right into the training for Robin, which again was fight or flight, survival mode. And yes, of course, he still had a nice cushy mansion and all the money he could ever want and a lot of things that should have made him feel secure, but he never really got a chance to just emotionally decompress for everything that he'd been through. And the relationship he had with Bruce was just so tenuous. Both sides, really, because Bruce has major trust issues as well, and Jason had trust issues, and you have two people with trust issues trying to forge a relationship, and we saw how awkward that was when Bruce called him son for the first time. And even Bruce Bruce is always keeping just a little wall of distance between his Robins and him, because that started from when he was a child, losing his parents. He keeps everybody at arm's length, right? There's a whole other issue there, but we're not going to talk about Bruce in this one. For poor Jason, it's just been always this battle for trying to find really a sense of stability. Like, I think that's where that fear really came from. And again, a very real moment in that therapy when he said to the therapist, I'm tired of being scared. I'm scared all the time. And it wasn't just about the Robin thing. It wasn't just about Jason Todd. It was literally the fact that that kid has probably never felt a moment of safety since he was a baby. It really takes a toll on you psychologically, emotionally, and physically to never feel safe. And that's really what was coming to a head for Jason. And of course, when it happened to him in San Francisco, when Deathstroke almost killed him, being betrayed by Rose, it was like more of that safety just being pulled out from under him and that vulnerability being exposed. And so he really just needed some time to work through it. Or I should say, come to terms with the fact that, like I said, Jason Todd is not a loser. Jason Todd's not a terrible person because of what he went through. That Jason Todd could be whoever you wanted Jason Todd to be. And that person could be Robin, or Robin could be a part of Jason Todd's life. But he needed to come to that conclusion on his own and work through that. And like I said, I do think he was on the road to doing that. But then Bruce came in too late as usual, thinking he was doing the right thing by pulling that decision away from him. And I know that the intent that Bruce had was not wrong and it was coming from a good place. But when you take this child in and already throw him through your most rigorous indoctrination program, and basically for the first few years you're working with him, make his acceptance, your acceptance of him contingent on him doing well as a Robin, you can't turn around and then be like, yeah, I don't think you can hack it. I'm going to take that away. And I mean, again, I know this is because Bruce literally has no emotional intelligence. Like, poor Bruce thought he was doing it the right thing, but of course it came across all wrong because he really doesn't understand emotions and human interactions well enough to know that at this point, that should not have been Bruce's decision. Like, yes, Jason was still struggling with things, but Jason was not. I agreed with Bruce's decision to let him not be actively in the field while he was still dealing with that. But to take away the option of being Robin entirely, that was not a decision that Bruce should have been making. That should have been a decision for Jason. He should have allowed Jason to go through that journey and figure things out and be able to make that decision for himself of whether or not he wanted to continue as Robin. And it felt like a slap to the face. It felt like Bruce was not trusting him to make the right decision for himself. And of course, all those insecurities that he already has about being rejected, which he has been in some way, shape, or form, or no, I shouldn't say has been. He perceives he's been rejected from first his mom to being through the system, etc. He felt all of that come back again when Bruce was like, yeah, you can't be Robin. And so it's just, you look at it and it's so understandable why he spiraled the way that he did. It's sad. I wish it had been different, but he just has no foundation. This poor kid literally has no stability or emotional maturity to be able to make the right decision in that moment. And we see that his answer to it was, I just want to stop being scared. I feel like my issue, all of this comes down to my fear, which he was so wrong about. It was not the fear, it's what causes the fear. It was all the things that led up to the fear that he needed to tackle. And that's what he was starting to examine with the psychologist. But yeah, unfortunately, Bruce's decision sent him spiraling off track, and he started seeking out an answer to the symptom, not to the issue. The symptom being the fear. And that's what led him to Scarecrow. And then the rest, as they say, is history. And now we've got Jason, where I think, the look that he does on his face, the way he's drawn into that fear drug, it's just so, to me, symbolic of where we're at with him, right? Like, I do think somewhere in there, Jason is not happy with what he's doing. I think he actually feels really awful, but he's so addicted to the idea of feeling safe, aka free of fear, for the first time probably in his life, that he just won't let that part of him come through. I do actually pity Jason. I'm going to still shade him. Like, you know me. I'm still going to shade him in episodes because he's still annoying. But I understand the annoying a lot more. And I do actually pity him because he is a very pitiable person now that we've seen the whole story. And I kind of understand more of why Dick is so determined to try to save him on some level, but until he knows the full story, I don't know how that's going to happen. And I don't know if getting him off the drug is going to help or what it might take. But since we saw the thing with Molly at the end, I have to believe that there is still a part of Jason that is emotional and sentimental. So there might still be a chance to, quote unquote, save him in the sense of not being Scarecrow's puppet anymore. But yeah, killing that guy at the beginning, or that guy who, you know, beat him up, and then killing Hank, like, Jason's going to do a lot of things that are going to be very, well, let's face it, that he's not going to be able to come back from. Like, I don't think that Dawn will ever be able to forgive Jason for that, no matter what the situation is. Yeah, this was a heavy-ass episode. There was a lot in there, a lot around the psychology of just so many things, but primarily Jason. But I think it rippled into so many other things in the show, and it was really well done. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The writing this season is really good. It's really improved leaps and bounds, and I really like that they're turning this into what it should be in the DC world, a much more psychological and dark type of story versus, you know, the action hero-y stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much what we had in this episode. So I feel like I talked a lot, but there was a lot to cover there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, and we will see you in the next video.